Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe. Somehow you will when you believe. Borrowed from the Prince of Egypt soundtrack, sung by Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, both my favorites, perfectly describe the spirit of the achievement of today's episode, numero 150. Episode number 150. And lo, the topic of the day is beta blockers introduction. Welcome all to his Pharmacology Difficult podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Radhika Vijay, MBBS MD Pharmacology, and this is the audio hub to get the best simplified basic tips, strategies, methods, and lots of ideas to learn better, understand better, and make your concepts crystal clear. If you really find, and if there's a question hovering in your minds, is pharmacology difficult? Lend me your ears for a while and let in the magic of knowledge. Let's begin with the introduction to the beta blockers, a much awaited, fantastic topic for the day. Well, beta blockers, they are very useful drugs for the treatment of hypertension, ischemic heart disease, congestive heart failure, and certain types of arrhythmias. Their most specific and special characteristics that make them so useful are: first, specificity for the beta receptor, like beta 1, beta 2, and yes, beta 3 also. Second, they have intrinsic sympathomimetic property. Well, few of them definitely have. Some do not have at all. Third, they have the capacity of vasodilatation. Fourth, they have specific and special pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamic properties. And fifth, they have varied lipid solubility properties. The most important non-selective beta blocker is propranolol, and yes, it is the prototype drug. It has a great affinity to block beta 1 and beta 2 and little less for beta 3 receptors. The highly selective beta 1 blockers, they are metoprolol, atenolol, acebutolol, bisoprolol, esmolol, etc. At high concentrations, they do block beta 2 receptors. Clinically well-approved beta 2 and beta 3 blockers, they are not much in vogue, though they are being used experimentally. Next important thing is when catecholamines, they are absent, then many beta blockers like pindolol, acebutolol, they can partially activate beta receptors, though not so significantly like complete agonistic drugs, and this property is known as intrinsic sympathomimetic activity. It's very good to prevent the absolute bradycardia in the resting cardiac tissues. Next, you should know that propranolol is simply antagonistic agent. It does not possess intrinsic sympathomimetic activity. There are few drugs which additionally block alpha receptors also, like labetalol, carvedilol, and bucindolol. Good vasodilatation feature is found in beta blockers like celiprolol, nebivolol, cartiolol, betaxolol, nipradolol, bopindolol, and biventolol. Additional membrane stabilizing or local anesthetic property is a feature of beta blockers, namely acebutolol, propranolol, carvedilol. Next important point, beta blockade is not so significant on resting cardiac tissue, but it is much pronounced on the active heart, like in exercise and stress situations when sympathetic discharge is much more than normal situations. Well, this was a kind of a classification of beta blockers that I just now detailed. Another terminology that classified beta blockers are first generation, second generation, and third generation beta blockers. Any guesses about it? Well, let me elaborate on this particular point. The non-selective beta blockers, they belong to the first generation. The beta 1 selective blockers, they belong to the second generation. And those drugs which possess additional characteristics related to cardiovascular system, they belong to the third generation. Here I want to specially highlight the quality of vasodilation, which is not so beta blocker quality, right? Okay, with these points and these classification bullet points, it's a wrap time. Much is left to add, much is left to expand, much is left to understand. It's difficult to end this episode so succinct, but it's the time to arrest this moment, this circumstance. Only then the next count of 150 will begin. Catch you all soon, quick in the dawn of episode 151, Abianto or a war. For all the updates and latest episodes of my podcast, do visit www.ispharmacologydifficult.com, where you can also sign up for a free monthly e-newsletter of mine. It actually contains a lot of updates about medical sciences, drug information updates, and my podcast updates also. You can follow me on different social media handles like Twitter, Insta, Facebook, and LinkedIn. They all are with the same name as Pharmacology Difficult. If you're listening for the first time, do subscribe and follow whatever platform you are consuming this episode. Stay tuned. To rate and review on iTunes, Apple Podcast. Stay safe, stay happy, stay enlightened. Thank you.